thank you to the EA Creator Network for providing me with the code for the Werewolves game pack. So you're seeing footage of me attempting to make werewolves in CAS. This is a fox. The reason being, I really want to challenge myself and not just use the custom presets. So I thought, what a better way to do it than to create some of my favourite dogs as werewolves. So I'm going for a Dalmatian here. It is one of my favourite breeds of dog. I have quite a few. I tend to like big dogs. But I thought things like a golden retriever, which is probably my favourite type of dog, is maybe a bit too simple in terms of, like, they're just gold, right? They're just like one colour. So I thought I'd go for something with a little bit more detail to the fur. So I went for a Dalmatian. The reason being is my mum had a Dalmatian when she was little called King. So this is King Spot, who is my my inspiration for this werewolf. So I went for, I kind of randomised some of the guys until I got someone who looked like they might be a Dalmatian to me. I figured he would probably have pale skin, so I do make his skin paler at some point. And then I'm just kind of pulling out his features to give him a little bit more of a Dalmatian-y look. So I did go down it and I gave him some cheekbones. I tried to make his face a little bit thinner because, again, referencing the dog, it has got quite a thin face and sculpted cheekbones. So I did kind of do that a little bit with his cheeks. And yeah, so I'm just kind of making the guy himself look a little bit Dalmatian-ish, but not so much that he becomes distorted and doesn't look human. So I did want him to look like he could be a sim. So there I'm just adjusting his eyes, because using the Dalmatian as my reference, the Dalmatian does have those kind of like quite rounded, but kind of like sulky puppy dog eyes. And you can see here I'm adjusting his eyebrows as well to kind of match. He has kind of like a little bit of a sad puppy look to his eyes and his eyebrows, and I think I just kind of pulled in the corners of his eyes, made them a little bit more round, made them nice and brown like the dog. And again, the Dalmatian is just like the custom preset Dalmatian that we have in the game when you type in Dalmatian to the search bar. So I was really kind of just going off that. I'm giving him, again, because my mum's dog was called King, I'm giving him a little bit of a kind of preppy, kind of rich boy look. I gave him slightly bigger ears and things, a little bit of Prince Charles, right? And then I was going to give him lots of moles, but I didn't really like the way they looked because they kind of distorted a little bit on him. So I think I go to do his werewolf version now. Yep, here we go. So I do make his coat completely white. I make it paler than it is there to match the Dalmatian because it's very, very white. So I do that with the custom fill paint tool. Now I've played around a little bit with Creator Wolf, which is what I'm going to call it, with the paint tool, but I haven't really done anything particularly exciting yet. I'm also not very good at using the Creator Pet tool and the custom paint tools that come with that. I know a lot of people want custom paint for Sims as well. I wouldn't really use it that much. I tend to just use the presets, and then every so often I'll stick on a stencil or something like that. I just don't have the time or the patience or the creativity to kind of go into detail and get good at it. Also, there I'm giving him like little floppy ears. I love that we have all the different ear options for werewolves. So because the Dalmatian has floppy ears, I've given him floppy ears as well. And I really like that you can adjust the size of the ears. I've given him a bit more of a different nose. Actually, do you know what? I spent loads of time customizing his nose, and then I accidentally clicked on a preset and ruined it. So again, giving him kind of like the rounded puppy dog eyes. I was really confused about the eyebrows for a while, and then later on I realised that you can take them off. You don't have to have eyebrows as a werewolf. So here I'm going into create a pet, and I'm really challenging myself as well. Like, I am not good at this. I'm not the Colino, right? I can't do tiger werewolves. I do not have that capability. I mean, I probably could if I really tried. So I go in the cheaty method there at first. You can say, if you kind of look back at that, you can see that I was trying to use the stencils, and I was trying to use the yeah, is it a stencil where you like colour it in, but it kind of puts the pattern on wherever you colour, and it wasn't really giving the right look. So here I'm trying to really put on the spots on the face like they are on the dog. I don't get it exactly matching up, but I'm kind of using the dog as inspiration. So you can see it's got a couple of spots on its face, kind of around its eyes and mouth, so we try to recreate that a little bit as well. So really playing around with the different tools there, so you can change how strong the colour goes on, you know, if it's kind of transparent or if it's really, really strong. The opacity, that's the word, if I try and use the correct term. See, I'm not good at it. And you can change the size of the brush, you can set, like, change how dark or light the colour is. So there is a lot of customizability, and you could really get very, very creative with this tool, I think. There I'm just kind of taking off the chin fluff off his chin. So I take off the fluff off his cheeks, the fluff off his chin, and giving quite a smooth face, like the dog itself. Here I'm trying to give him a little bit of a longer muzzle, but I couldn't really do that. And I noticed on the dog, he kind of, the corners of his mouth kind of turned down. He's kind of got jowls. So I do try and do that with paint in a little while. It does take me quite a long time. I don't think I've got it perfect, but again, just trying to kind of generally get the dispersal of spots right. So I'm putting more around his mouth there, and then I do try and like make his mouth look a bit more like the dog's mouth, but again, I don't think I'm super successful at that. So I don't have the fine motor skills to be able to do it neatly. I feel like I don't understand. Like, I've looked at some of the other werewolves that other people created, and I think, how on earth do you have, like, I don't know, I just don't have, like, I'm not that neat. He just looks like he's muddy. So I don't feel like the Dalmatian is super successful. I don't think I've done a brilliant job with him. So there, I think I realised in a second that I can actually just remove the eyebrows. There we go. She's had a brainwave. She's removed the eyebrows. So yeah, so this is definitely the more simple wolf that I tried to do. It's more of a simple pattern. So I've gone overboard with the spots. Too many spots on his face, but you know, some of us have acne. What can I say? Some of us are texturally, facially challenged. Yeah, I just kind of go ham now on the spots and just kind of like stick them everywhere. Yeah, like I gave up. So I don't think he looks very good. I don't think I've done a good job of him. He is on the gallery if anyone thinks, yeah, I really want that sim in my game for no apparent reason. I don't know. I think I make his body a bit slimmer at the end as well, because I think he's a little bit too chunky, but yeah, I slim him down. And so here I just kind of grab a load of spots and whack them all over his body. So in a minute you'll see me, I'll kind of switch sims, and I'll go to another one of my favourite kind of dogs, which is a German Shepherd. I love them, kind of like a police dog, and I do feel like I do a better job with that sim, so do bear with me. Like actually putting a little bit more effort in, I think, and getting used to the tools and not mastering them, certainly not mastering them, but maybe between like maybe skill level 0 to skill level 1 or 2 perhaps. I have like a small amount of skill, so I'm not actually, even though it looks like I'm just kind of putting the dots everywhere, I'm actually trying to disperse them in a similar way to what they're like on the dog. So instead of having just the same texture and pattern of spots right across its body, it kind of has them kind of in like focused little clusters. So I go over with the brush once to kind of get the initial clusters the way that I like them, and then I kind of go back over again with the brush again to there you go, to get some variety of the size of the spot. So I kind of go back over the same areas a little bit more haphazardly. I didn't want to be too much of a perfectionist. So if you look at the dog itself, some of the spots kind of like merge with each other. So I adjusted the opacity a little bit there. I changed the brush size just to give like the spots a different texture. But again, I don't feel like this is the most challenging type of dog I could have done, and I don't think I did a good job of it, if I'm honest with you. But again, like, we're not all like, there's some brilliant creators out there who are so good with the paint tool in game, and like the things that they can create is really quite amazing. But I'd say that's like max level skill. Most of us, like the casual player of the game, is not going, they're not going to have these kind of like brilliant artist skills. So I think what I'm trying to show in this video is some of the things that you can do with the tools, and some of the things you can create if you, like me, are not very confident with the paint mode tool, or you know, you're just playing around with it casually and getting the vibe of something that you want. So I want to say that even if you're like me and you don't have a lot of confidence with it, it is fun to play around with. You can get quite creative with it, and you do pick it up quite quickly. So when you first go into it, it's a bit like, what does this button do? What does this button do? Oops, I accidentally filled the whole werewolf with the colour pink, you know. But then you kind of, you become more confident with it. So you can see there, now that I've put different size spots, because I think this is the third time going over, he is starting to look a little bit more interesting, right? Every single spot is not the same size, so I think that creates more interest. And if I had a little bit more time to go over, I think I would have done a better job if I'd have took a little bit more time to do that. So that is him. Let's skip to the next one. Okay, so there you go. This is my second video. You can see the finished puppy there. So here I go for a German Shepherd, which I love German Shepherds, like kind of police dogs. I love Huskies as well, so I did consider going for a Husky for a minute. And yeah, like here is kind of, again, the standard German Shepherds that you can get in the game. Oh no, my neighbours are banging again. I'm so sorry. I waited till this point in the day because I thought they'd finally finished, and they're still going, so I'm sorry about that, but you don't want to stop the video. So yeah, you can see he is, so what I like about this is it shows you what is achievable already in the game with the paint tool, because somebody's already put this paint. That's so frustrating. So I'm so sorry about the banging. So yeah, you can already see what is possible using the paint tool in game. So again, it's like, technically speaking, I should be able to emulate that. So this guy, I changed the traits on the German Shepherd in the end, because my German Shepherd Ben when I was growing up, so what I'm doing there is just kind of showing you the shape of his face from the side, and that's kind of what I'm using as a reference for the human sim. So yeah, back to Ben. Ben was stupid. It's like, I really like smart dogs, so you know, that's why I like golden retrievers and labradors, because they're used as like helper dogs, you know, for like blind people and stuff. They're really clever. You know, German Shepherds are kind of like police dogs. I grew up and I watched like K9 and K9000. I loved those movies when I was a kid. And like family have had these kind of dogs as well, like both long hair and short hair, like Alsatians. So yeah, I really like German Shepherd style dogs, and I like that they're police dogs. So even though my dog was very stupid, very mischievous, I do go back and change his traits to like more like if he was a police dog. And I figured that the guy as well, maybe he's a policeman. If you want to play with them in the game, maybe that's a story you can tell. So yeah, I go in. I think they're quite a smiley dog, where the Dalmatian kind of had more like of a droopy face at the side. I feel like German Shepherds, Labradors, they're the kind of dog that they look at you and they look like they're smiling at you, and you smile back, and then you feel stupid for smiling at a dog on the street, you know. So I did make him quite smiley. And then I go in and kind of like adjust his features a little bit more. So I considered starting with one of these bases, but then I did just fill in with orange accidentally. I did fill in with kind of a lighter colour, and I decided to just paint the fur texture on myself using like the different shades of kind of like creams and blacks. So what I'm doing here, and what I was just pointing out, is how he has a slightly lighter colour kind of going up the sides of his face and along the middle of his body. He has kind of like a light shade of cream. So I decided to paint that on first. So I've got the base cream colour. Oh, and I'm just making his eyes amber as well. And attempting to adjust them, but I had a little bit of trouble adjusting his eyes. I couldn't seem to get them the shape that I wanted to. They're slightly more almond shape as well. Like, I don't know, the German Shepherd looked slightly more clever than the Dalmatian. The Dalmatian had those kind of big sad puppy eyes, and the German Shepherd looks a little bit more wolfish, I think. So his eyes are a little bit more I don't know, like a bit more intelligent maybe. So here you can see I am just trying to get the colour right, to get a lighter shade than what I've used on the whole of his body, and I turn down the opacity and I adjust the colour as well using the colour wheel to kind of get the right shade. So here I go, I just whack it on straight down the middle of his body, a little bit on the inside of his legs, and yeah, that is more or less it. and I do it quite roughly. So the idea being is that I'd go in roughly with the kind of general colour, and then I would fine tune it and merge it a little bit more as I went along. So I go up his neck here and up the sides of his face. There's that hammering again. I'm so sorry guys, but I don't know when they're going to end. So like I say, I've been waiting all day. I thought I saw him packing up, and he's back again, so great. So yeah, he kind of has like it kind of comes up around the sides of his face and over the top of his eyes in kind of like an M shape, and then it's kind of, he's kind of got black around his muzzle. Oh, here I'm adjusting his ears. So where the Dalmatian had like floppy ears, the German Shepherd has like sticky up ears. Please stop banging. Please stop. I'll be 5 minutes and then you can carry on. So yeah, big sticky up ears. He's got quite a fatter face. He's not got fluff on the side of his face, and he's not got fluff on his chin either. So I go in and I kind of get rid of all those bits and bobs. So here I'm just adjusting his nose, which adjusts the whole nose. I just wanted to adjust the tip and it adjusted the whole nose, and I was like, do you know what, I'm just rolling with it. So the dog itself has black all around its muzzle, so I go in with this. I do feel like if you look like at the side of his nose, it just wouldn't fill in properly at the side of his nose. It's kind of got that white ring around it, which may be a little bit sad that I couldn't kind of get into that little groove there, but I don't know, it is what it is. So I go in all around his mouth like this, like he's got a little goatee or something, and I'm quite happy with the shape of it as well at first. He wouldn't stop wriggling, it was driving me mad, because he had like a little bit of black that kind of goes down onto his neck and chin. So here I'm saying that I want to try and do this bit that goes up between his nose, but it's quite blended. It's not like a thick line, it's quite a subtle line. So again, I paint on and kind of go back and blend, yeah, so I'm just kind of going over it with the opacity tool turned down much lower to just kind of try and get that kind of blended effect around his face. So I do a little bit on the side of his eyes, a little bit around his nose, just really trying to blend it in like it is on the dog. Whoever did the coats on the original dogs from Cats and Dogs, like, well done. Again, I've kind of got that turned up a bit too high, I think, there. And also it's not fine enough. I think if I was going to do it again and do it with a bit more detail, I'd probably turn it down to about 2. It's on 6 there, but yeah, it is what it is. And then I think I try and go in, I think I try and blend it more. Oh, he's got like its S shape as well on the side of his eyes. So if you look closely at the German Shepherd, he's kind of got like a wiggle on the inside of his eye, which I tried to do here. Again, it's not very neat. I don't necessarily think I did a good job of it, and I do feel like I would probably do it a bit more patiently, perhaps, if I was really trying to do this well. But again, it's just kind of getting the general effect, and I am not an expert at this. So again, looking at him there, you can see that kind of S shape on the inside of his eyes that I was trying to go for, and then he's got this kind of M shape of black on the top of his head. So I go in and try and do that. I keep pressing the wrong buttons as well every time I try and go to paint mode. So here I am trying to do these like big thick M eyebrows. I cannot get them equal, because, and this is what the reason why I don't do winged eyeliner very often, because I can't get it equal. Yeah, not very good at symmetry apparently. But again, just trying to go in originally with the general shape and then trying to blend it in a little bit more. And I do spend a lot more time on this dog than the other one, just because it's much more blended. So yeah, really trying to put some effort into that. Again, I do feel like I could have spent even more time on it and got it better. I could have kept on going over and over it with the brush, but I didn't have that much time in my day. I had to kind of get on with real life things that I had to do. So yeah, it is possible to get it better looking than I get it, I think, is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, the back of his head, his ears are all entirely black, so I just kind of go over and fill that in. I could have probably turned up the opacity on that, but again, I kind of liked it to look kind of blended. So yeah, that was an attempt. What am I doing here? I think I'm trying to get it. What am I doing here? I think I'm trying to blend it in a little bit more. There you go, around his eyebrows and stuff. No, that looks terrible, but it was an attempt. And I think I've got too much black on his nose, so I go over it a little bit with that colouring. just to kind of try and blend it in. Yeah, but I'm pretty happy with it, considering I've got no skill whatsoever. I think it actually looks really good on the face. I'm quite pleased with it, to be honest. I don't think it's as good as the reference on the dog itself, but I do think it's quite good. So here he's got kind of black right down from the top of his head, down his spine and down his tail. He doesn't actually have any black on his arms or legs, but I do that a little bit to blend it in. So at the moment though, I'm just going for that big strip of black right down his back, and kind of, it's not one big thick line, it kind of goes out a little bit on his shoulders and out a little bit on the side of his body. So I try to get the general shape of it, and then I go in and I kind of go back, just painting in his bum, you know, and I go in and I kind of neaten it up and give it more detail. It's the banging again, I'm sorry, it's so annoying. So then I go for that kind of more gold colour that the dog has on its side, and this is where I kind of like blend in and I give it a little bit more detail. So the actual black on the dog kind of goes, it's a bit more jaggedy at the side, it's a little bit in and out. But I'm sorry, I think they're having a carpet laid, so they're doing the thing where they tack the carpet in. So yeah, so you can see here I'm kind of going in and out, and then I do go back over it again. So I think what you want to aim at, if you want to get it really nice and you really want to spend some time doing this, I do think you want to keep the opacity quite low. I would recommend going in with almost like block colour and defining the general shape of where you want the fur on the sim, and then go into it with the finer tools, with the opacity. So you can see here where I'm just bordering it all with the gold and kind of filling it into that kind of lighter texture that we did on the stomach. So I am actually really quite pleased with that. I do feel like I've done a good job. And then using the blending tools and the opacity slider, keeping that down and just going in and blending and blending and blending and blending and blending. And I think if you really wanted to do it well, you'd go in with like the finer tools as well, and really spend some time sculpting that. But again, a limit to how much time I had for this, so I'm just neatening up his bottom there as well a little bit. But yeah, so now I'm going back to the black like Amy Winehouse and kind of blending in that thicker line. I'm just making it more blended, a bit like if you ever do eyeshadow, right, you want to blend. So yeah, just blending that in there as well. And I do think it actually, I mean, I'm pretty impressed with myself. I don't think it looks awful, considering I'm an absolute novice. The paint tool, you can actually do quite a lot of good stuff with it. So yeah, really happy with that. And then, like I say, the wolf itself doesn't have any black going down its legs. It just has that kind of gold going on the outside of his arms, but I just thought it looked a bit weird that he didn't have the black on his arms. So I do make the artistic choice, darlings, of going in and kind of painting a little bit of that black down the back of his arm, a little bit like as if, you know, because he's got the black on his back, it's a bit like where you would catch the sun, right? So along the back of his arms, and then along the kind of like outside back of his legs, I kind of go down there with the black as well. And then again, I go over it with the golds, and I go over it with the blending tools, and really kind of blend it in. But I do think it looks better with that black along the back there. Once I blend it, not right now, because it just looks like he's been rolling in mud or something, or somebody's gone a bit crazy with a marker pen. But yeah, I really am quite happy with how he looks. So yeah, going back to the gold, it's a bit difficult as well. I find that it's almost like the tooltip colour swatches don't quite match the colour. It's like the reference colour. So when you actually click that little colour palette, like the colour that goes on the sim doesn't necessarily match the colour on the palette very well. So it's like you think you're going for a dark brown and it comes out pale, or you think you're going for an orange and it comes out cream. So I do feel like the colour tool could be a little bit more intuitive, but like I say, you can play around with that. You can get the perfect colour if you want to play around with the colour wheel as well. So yeah, just blending down either side of the black with that kind of gold colour to blend it in. Yeah, I think he's looking pretty good there. So again, kind of blending around his knees, blending into the hip creases, just to kind of define his body a little bit more as well. So if you imagine, like, where would the sun catch? So the sun on the front would catch kind of along the front of his hips and his shins, and like maybe his calves as well. So I don't know, I tried to think about like the natural curvature of the body, and to kind of play into that a little bit as well. So again, I don't think I'm not entirely happy with the front of him, but I don't think it's awful. I am, do you know, again, considering that I barely ever use Creator Pair, like the paint tool on Creator Pair, and considering I don't feel like I'm good at it, I do think I've done a good job of him. I really, really do. I'm impressed with myself. And I probably, because I'm feeling a little bit more confident with it, I probably would want to try and customize my wolves a little bit further, you know, if I really wanted to give them a certain look. So there you go. I think that's it. I think I'm considering that done. So Ben Wolf, and he's self-assured, he's a genius, and I think I go for active in the end, because again, he would probably want to join the police career. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Do take care of yourselves. Let me know if you give Creator Pet a whirl yourselves, and I will see you again soon. Bye friends.